So, in the last class, we have discussed about the relation between the consumer and product, no? And we could not finish it, so I'll discuss it later. Today, I thought of discussing a new topic, and that is a part of organizational culture, right? So, as we have already understood a bit about formal and informal organization, the types of organization, it is important to understand the organizational structure. And then one of the very important function of organization is the decision making. And hence, I have actually written down the conceptual part of decision making, what is decision making, and the types of decisions that is to be taken in one organization, like the where we take the program decisions. These are basically the routine decisions. Then we take the non-routine decisions, which are actually non-program decisions. We also say in that way, but maybe there will be a bit more. Is a that I'll say more nitty-gritties when you talk about this routine and non-routine decisions. But program and non-program decisions, these are basically the routine and judgmental decision, we also say. And then we have the individual decision and group decisions. I'll elaborate it. Then there are some group decision technique. How to take a decision in a group. So that techniques will be discussed. And we'll also be discussing about the Simons. You might have heard about Herbert A. Simon, and he discussed about the rational man, about the decision makers and decision making. So he described about four stages of decision making. So we'll be discussing about the four stages of decision making, which is discussed by Simon, which is referred by Simons. Okay, then he talks about the intelligence stage, design stage, choice stage, and then review stage. So we will go through each of various stages of decision making, and he also gave three model of decision making, like economic model, then social model, and administrative man model. Economic man model, it is said. Then we have also social man model, and third one is administrative man model to look into the decisions. So decision making is one of the very important function of any organization. When we discuss the organizational hierarchy, discuss different functions of organizations, even we also say that management itself is an art and science of decision making, right? So it is important to understand what is decision making first. So decision making is actually a process of choosing or picking up, or you might also say cherry picking from a basket among the range of alternatives and from the range of alternative. So cherry picking the choice, the best choice among the range of alternative in the basket. So that is the decision making basically. So we do have some alternatives. So how we even arrive at an alternative, that is also important, because alternative will not come when we don't even understand the problem. So decision will comes along with the problem. So the very first step is to understand the problem. In any organizational setup, when you talk about the function of one organization, then you actually diagnose the problem first, and that is the way we actually see that rational action can come out. So how will you diagnose the problem in organizational setup? And in organizational setup also, you see that organization is not a simple, like, that sole unit, because it is actually a cohesive unit of various dissimilar interests at the same time, dissimilar, diverse, and heterogeneous interest of different units, because there are stakeholders, and each stakeholders has got diverse different interests and heterogeneous interests. So you need to trade through those, trade away and trade along the line of these diverse heterogeneous interests, and try to find out the, big choice which would also satisfy their need, their preferences, and gratify their need at the same time. So it's very important. Decision making is very important for an administrator, for a manager. We will look into the organizational structure, but we will first look into what is decision making. You understand, basically it's all about finding out the uh, best best choice from the available alternative. So finding out the best choice from the available alternative, is the decision which is also aligned with the purpose of the organization. So when we understand the decision making, we cannot even separate ourselves or get rid of understanding the whole purpose of the organization, because it culminates, it is drawn from the very purpose of the organization for which an organization is existed. Here we talk about the media organization. We are talking even about the departmentalization. So it is all about grouping of activities and to have a better decision at the same time. When you group the activities of different units, different individual based on their skill, based on their specialization. So this is also a kind of decision at the same time. When you set the purpose, that is also a decision, because when you say that formal organization come to exist, a formal organization come to exist with a purpose, but informal organization usually do not have any purpose. Informal organization, any kind of network, intimacy, it is based on their belongingness, that belong, and then you actually see that intimacy among you. So it doesn't have that purpose which formal organization have. So right from the very beginning, we have a decision which will play a role in an organization. So it is basically choosing the best from the alternative. Decision making is all about choosing the best from the available alternative. So even organization is also created from a problem at the same time. So perhaps there is a problem rise, so you also want to, like, sort out the problem. There are, you see this available manpower, they are not recruited. Okay, they're looking for a job at the same time. Okay, you are thinking about mobilizing the available resources, manpower resources, that infrastructure and physical facilities and all, and try to make an institutional arrangement and give also a pattern way to reach the goal. Okay, so you see the way organization comes into existence is also based on the decision, right? So picking up the decision from the choices. So you might have different choices at the same time. For you, choice would be to, to go and join a newspaper, go and join even and make a documentary. But you are actually thinking about opening a media organizations, or you want to go for want to be a media entrepreneur, want to run a small scale organization. So you are actually looking into some of the problems, and you are thinking about some arrangement, institutional arrangement, the way you will mobilize the manpower. So it comes from a problem at the same time. So you are also coming with a solution, alternative solution to the problem. So then we see the types of decisions which are always there. So it is basically uh, about program decision, non-program decision. As I have already told you, that when you say program decisions are basically, you see, everyday decisions which are based on policies, rules, procedure. So some decisions in one organization, suppose regarding the hike of the salary, okay, so even regarding the recruitment, so you have to take some decision regarding the stock verification and all. So you have a rule and a procedure and policy at place. You will simply go by that policy. So it is actually a bureaucratic decision. So you go by those rules and regulations which is in place, and that is actually program decisions. So it is also equated to routine decision at the same time. So routine decision, everyday decision that you take, actually decision regarding the changing of even bus service, that may be also a routine decisions. Uh, so at the same time, so you also say day-to-day decisions, um, yeah, which will not affect the different units of that organizations and also different individuals of the organization. Let me tell you in a more precise way later a bit. Then we say non-program decision. We will simply move from program and non-program. So I'm giving you a very brief idea about the program, which is basically programs are routine based on the rules, regulation, and the procedure. Huh. And sometimes what happens when it is programmed, we will have to follow that procedure. Huh. So even we see paperwork, lot of paperwork will involve. That will also lead to a decision. that decision will also provide a stability to any problem. Okay, so we have taken a decisions, and we have followed an existing procedure to even choose the candidate based on the available alternative, because already an available procedure is there. So this is very programmed decision. Then we talked about a non-programmed decision. Non-programmed decision are judgmental decision at the same time. So which we have to take, like making any new investment. So you are also thinking about developing one more, like even one more school, non-programmed decisions, or maybe one more program at the same time in one university, and even in a news organization you are thinking of developing um, a network through which you can outsource services, outsource job. You want to reduce the price and operating cost, and you want to make advantage of the market share, your share in the market, like that way. So any kind of decision which will be at the same time, you see that it is said, which involves judgment, is non-programmatic, because there is no prescribed rules regulation is there, there is no rules. And most of the time this kind of decision, non-programmed decisions, are based on past experiences. Like you have to make your judgment, you have to give your judgment when you take a non-programming decision, non-routine decision. You need to take, you make any kind of new investment, or you buy chair, you based on your growth, so continuous growth, you have developed a very large media house, and you want to even extend it to, like you are a television station, you want to extend your business to print even, so taking to convergence and globalizations. So that decision will also be non-programming at the same time, because there is no clear, you see, a bit non-programming if we go by this typical division of the decision making. But that is another decision, let me tell you. Definitely that will be administrative decision will come, but that will be a non-programming decision, that will not be a programming decisions. We will follow them, but this will involve our judgment at the same time. So you change anything which is already existed. Somebody demand to change even this the reservation, like that is the reserve category. We say that manager has discretionary power, they reserve the post. That will be judgmental and non-programming decision at the same time. Hmm. Although there are ways through which we can, you see, the same time we can make use of those programs and the procedure, but it will be a non-programming, because non-programmed decision, because it will involve his his judgment. And it is also a non-routine decision. You see, this ability and capability of a good administrator, good manager, will be based on taking the non-programming and non-routine decision. Okay, because it will involve his experience, past practices, and how sound he is to even taking care of available resources and taking picking the best alternative for those resources, how efficient he is in even, you see, satisfying the needs of all at the same times, and also develop an acceptability. Although there are some, I'll tell you that in certain occasions you may not get any kind of acceptance for your decisions, and that doesn't mean that your decision is wrong at the same time. This is also true, because in certain matter quality matters than acceptance, so in certain other matters, like you say, acceptance will matter more than quality. So it depends upon the kind of matter, subject matter, depends upon the kind of problem that you are actually working in. Okay, so it's very, very important to take a decision. We also have individual decisions which are very simple. So at any level, managerial level, day to day running business, so like the kind of decision comes up, somebody is coming late, content is not developed, so kind of decision that you will take basically are individual decisions. Suppose it has to be go on air by now, it's not yet, yeah, it, it is not yet developed, will be a kind of, you see, this individual decision. At times it requires individual more than group, because you need to take some simple decision. It doesn't need much more deliberation. because you are working on a breaking news and content is not even ready. So you're given responsibilities to someone, somebody is fall ill, so you need to send someone. So these are individual decisions everyday manager has to take, everyday decisions. And these are also part of even routine decisions, simple decision, doesn't even any kind of complexity. But yeah, in individual decision there is also higher level of certainty of the outcome, because you also know that problem is simple, but when the problem is complex, that involve a group decision. Normally you see a problem is any kind of complex problem will involve a group. So group decision is important at the same time, because you see, and group decision involves uh, uh, even lot of advantages, merits and demerits. Okay, so when you actually talk about the group decision, it will enhance the communication among the group, it will improve the communication, right? Because you are also taking care of their feedback, their decision, subordinates decision. And if you don't consider subordinate also, your colleagues decision, your fellow mates decision, you are taking care of it. So it's an everyone's opinion, point of view, um, views does matter for you. So when it will matter for you, so definitely you are coordinating. So group decision will involve that coordination. It involves that communication upward as well as downward communication, both way communication. And it will also involve a kind of informed decision making process, because each and everyone in the group will be informed about the kind of decisions. Okay, so you see that group decision making has the merits of having a communication, having a coordination at the same time, and having an informed decision making process. But it has got a disadvantage, is that most of the time you don't know uh, the kind of priority of the group. Even within the group, there are few person who will always like take a lead role, then uh, mm, like many more in the group. So it may not be a very democratic decision, or the decision when we arrive at will be very like lengthy process. At the same time it will be a very long process, because it involves like that communication and also the information point of view of each and everyone. So the time you take a decision already, like you see that you passed a deadline or like that way, because in the process of making everyone's informed. But in certain situation you need to take group decisions, because in any organization it is actually group activity. So group decision does matter at the same time. But it also has a cultural amplification kind of problem. That is a problem, cultural amplification. It is many a time in group, you see, we always look for lowest common denominator. When we take a decision in a group, we look for that lowest common denominator, in the sense that like everybody will prefer the kind of like alternative, and will go by that alternative, right? So that is also induced by the pressure, social pressure, induced by peer pressure, right? Most of the time, even if you have a better alternative, it may not get acceptability, because it may not fit into that lowest common denominator, because majority of them seek for that solution instead of this. Okay, and also it is many a time induced by some culture and values, not ethics, all the time. So it has that, no, it has happens to be our culture like that way. That is the lowest common denominator. Everybody prefer that way. So they may not even go for quality the same time, and that will lead to a cultural amplification, which is a disadvantage for any kind of group decision making. So I'm telling you the disadvantages. There are also advantages, like you have communications. Everybody will be informed. So informed decision making will be possible in the group, right? Coordination of the existing resource, human resources, your coordination. So in individual decision making, that there is no question of coordinating and communication. You are taking it all. So these are advantages, but disadvantage is the long one. It will take long to arrive at a decision. At the same time, you also see there's a problem of cultural amplifications at the same time, and the one who has influence, who has capacity to influence, who on the basis of you say experience, talent, affluence, will always like take the decision, make the decision on behalf of most. That is also one thing. So in a group, and also group has also some prior intention, which is driven by the majority of the group prior intention, suppose building empire, or you never know the hidden intention or prior intention. So these are the disadvantages in any kind of group decision. And there are some technique also to take a group decision which we don't follow in even in political science also. It is said when we talk about the agora and all earlier public sphere, so we there we talk about discussion and deliberation by the citizens. So we had citizens, right? Citizens are actually those who can deliberate upon any kind of political issues, unlike the matics and unlike the, you say, what are the slave. So there are three categories of labor basically, or use individual. One is citizen, another one is metic, another one is slave in one polity, that in one society. You see, society is a polity. This is also said the society is a polity. And polity is so very penetrated into the society, is that it is all about politics, it's all about city state. So citizens doesn't have any life, any family life, because they every time they think about only the like betterment of the city state, right? So they take the decisions and they will deliberate up and they will give the decisions. Okay, so here what happens is that when you talk about that, like technique to arrive at a decision earlier, this is called a nominal group approach. Nominal group approach to arrive at a decision. Nominal group approach to arrive at a decision. So when it's a nominal group approach is such that in a group everybody will silently write about the solution. So it is all about arriving at a solution, right? So you diagnose the problem, you let them diagnose the problem. Okay, then you as a leader, what you can also do, you give them, so you one has to be like take the lead role. So everybody will, and even if nobody is taking the lead role, so everybody will diagnose the problem in their own way. Everybody in the group of 5, group of 10, group of 30, 40, so everybody will diagnose the problem in their own way, and they will give the solution silently in writing. Okay, so that is the second step. They will give the solution silently in writing, but they will not deliberate. Okay, then it will also be written down, and it will be that solution to any problem will be projected. Then once it is projected and recorded, then it will be, then the problems will be discussed. Okay, once the problems will be discussed and each one will be brought into, and also give each one have the chance to explain. Each one will be getting the chance to explain the solution and also diagnose the problem. Hmm. Then they will pick up the best alternative. So in that way, it will be much more democratic as well as a consultative process, and it will avoid the disadvantages that we have in group communication. So it's very very important technique in group. Nowadays we don't follow, and that's why we actually fall sort of in management practices. So we always that we blame the system and all, because we don't know few technique and we don't follow even, we don't bother to follow at the same time. And hence you see that is a nominal group techniques that is there. So you cannot even say nowadays it's not possible. Why it's not possible? There's one person in many institution who also on the basis of seniority, on the basis of even affluence, on the basis, I'm not telling you, in every in media house also, on the basis of seniority, on the basis of affluence, on the basis of capital, they will take the decision, majority share. And not necessarily that that decision will be right decision, because it at times it involve ego also, social man model, which Herbert Simon says. Okay, so if you are, because in media organization also decision is a group decision, not individual decision. Few individual decisions are there, that will have to be taken by higher authority, a media manager, an editorial team, or an editor will have to take individual decision. But at the same time, you also see that nominal group technique will help you to arrive at a best alternative, when everybody will have silently give their solution and they will explain that solution. This is the solution at the same time, and then out of that solution you will pick the best one, so everybody will participate at the same time. So it is also way to make subordinate participate the same time, so make the process very just, huh? And also discrimination free, and also uh, be biased by the affluence of by the influence of all those peer pressure or a peer group, or you see I have already told you about some hidden interest and all. So that is one technique. Second technique is Delphi technique, very very important. This is actually used in research also nowadays. Delphi technique, which is used Delphi technique to find out the solution. Even in research also that we use Delphi technique, DLFI. So, so what we do in Delphi technique is that we develop a questionnaire. First, we identify the group from whom we need an opinion and all, right? Whose opinion matter for us, who will also help us to solve a problem. Okay, so problem is there, who will help us to give a solution. So we first identify the group and then we develop a questionnaire, and it's all about how you word the questionnaire, because the success and accomplishment of Delphi technique depends upon the way questionnaire is worded. So you develop a questionnaire, then you distribute the questionnaire, because group, now you see that group is anonymous and one person is not known to another at the same time. So normally what happens, so in a network organization, virtual organizations, when you don't have face-to-face communications, we do not have personal communications with even the head and the superior, then they exercise the Delphi technique. They send out the questionnaire at the same time, and they ask the question which are required to solve any problem. Okay, and then they will provide their answers at the same time. They'll provide their answers. So those answers are verified, those answers are at the same time analyzed, and they will develop another questionnaire to go deep into the problem. They find out what are the responses. Based on the responses, they will develop another questionnaire, and they'll send that questionnaire again to that group. Okay. And next time when you actually get the response, it will be much more appropriate response. Appropriate in the sense this is what you were actually looking for. Huh. So this is also kind of fusion of data. We usually talk about data fusion practices. So there are multiplicity of the question to even understand the group at the same time, to understand their perspective, understand their viewpoint, and then you also find the solution from them. Advantage, disadvantage is that many a time we do not know how to word the questionnaire. Hmm. How to put the question, and that is the disadvantage of Delphi technique. Or there might be similarity of opinions at the same time. Hmm. So when there are similarity of opinions, which perhaps you don't look at it, so may not give you a kind of possible solution. Or at times it might give a possible solution if you are actually looking for similarity of opinion, or when there is a diversity of opinion, that might also, that might result some difficulty in terms of taking a decision. So you never know, you are uncertain about the outcome at the same time. So this is one thing that I can arrive at a good routine and non-routine decisions. Normally, what happens, you see that when you take a decisions, so we even talk about the brainstorming and brain stealing. These are the two very basic parameters: brainstorming and brain stealing. You know how one is different from the other. How brainstorming is different from brain stealing. Huh. Brain stealing, it is there. We talk about brainstorming, but we never talk about brain stealing, right? Brain stealing is more important for creativity. It is more important for stimulating creativity in any group, to even arrive at a decision. Brain stealing is all about your intuition. So you become calm and find out the solution. Brainstorming is actually it become boisterous and find out the solution, right? So you look at the half of our brain, our right brain will control our intuition, right part of the brain, and left part of the brain will control the logic. Right. It is like that. Our right part will always control our intuition, will calmness. It will direct us in that way. Left part is rational, you know. So we are more rational. Our lip part is bigger. We are more rational. He said that every time he or she has a logic to give, like that way. He or she is so much argument points, like okay, she has logic to give. Lip part is bigger. He said, right part is all about intuition, we calmness. At times, this is the way we actually brain steal. So we talk about brainstorming. When you talk about the brainstorming, you actually bring them together, you give them a problem or find out possible solution. So based on the region logic, they'll give the solution to it. Huh. And brain stealing it, okay, you sit calm, you think, and then you give a solution. It's brain stealing basically because it relies on the right part. Okay, so for creativity, brain stealing works more than brainstorming. For any activity, any production related activity, we even see in an advertisement the department and any creative department, you say you actually they prefer brain stealing right than brainstorming because they always allow maximum flexibility to the creative editors and those who are working under him. Hmm. The flexibility in terms of time, they allow come, go, flexibility in terms of the input, they give. So that flexibility is given because you never know when intuition clicks. Because it's not about logic here. Logic will run when I'm managing an organization. But many a time it is also said it's very irrational at the same time. Hmm. So, but irrational doesn't mean the intuition. Irrationality is different. Irrationality, a social man will be more irrational, A social man will be more irrational at times than an individual. At the same time, when it develops that, because it is always induced by the pressure, peer pressure, and the social pressure, and rather than his own intuition and the logic, that pressure will influence and motivate more to take any action. Okay, so he will always think about his ego. His social ego will be bigger than the perception and the perception to arrive at a conclusion. His own perception to arrive at a conclusion or to exercise the logical brain or intuitive brain. So it's very very important. What he Herbert Simon talked about the social man. It's important. Okay, so what I was talking of. Okay, brain stealing and brainstorming. Okay. Okay. A brain stealing and brainstorming. Right brain and the left brain. How we exercise. Okay. Okay. Hmm. So you also see there is an example. Suppose a person who is a rapist. How will you behave? All of a sudden he appears in front of you. You will give him logic. Suppose you are a girl, single girl in a lonely road. Okay, like 3 4 men will come. 3 4 men will come. Like that very aggression with their aggressions and that rage. So definitely, which will scare you. So the kind of decision you will make will you be that definitely out of fear. So you can take any kind of decision. No? So and which may not be good for you at the same time, so you might be asking him why you are doing so. That will be logical, but if you're asking him, that will be your logical brain particular book. So it is developed out of the brain stealing option, the brain stealing. Okay, so intuition at that particular point of time, so like the kind of decision that you will take. Huh. So this is important at the same time. Okay, so then you see that apart from this, what we have, can I wrap it off? How can I wrap it off? There's no duster. Okay. There's no duster. Get a duster from that classroom. Everyone, you go. You go. Get a duster from that room. Then we talk about those three very important. model of decision making which Herbert Simon has discussed. Heard about this? Howard A. Simon. There are many more decisions based on intuition, hmm, based on calmness. So you take some decision out of your calmness. So that is one example. All of a sudden something happened. So then how will you react? Will be too much excitement will be shown, or will be logical at that time, or you will keep calm and take some decision. So this is important. Yeah.
Could you please explain routine decision and non-routine
Yeah,
decision?
yeah. Routine is basically it is program decision. Routine, not program. Sorry, it is day-to-day decisions. Individual at the same time. It doesn't involve some of the procedure and a policy. Day-to-day decisions you are taking. Suppose in terms of us, we are making a scheduling. You decide about scheduling of broadcast and all. That's the routine decision. At what time you'll be scheduling the broadcast. That is based on your past experience also. So every day you are taking as an editor, so these are routine decision. Every day you will be taking. So routine decision, day-to-day decisions. Okay. And at the same time, non-routine decisions are basically non-program decisions. Non-routine is you also see that these are everyday. Everyday decision. It may not be everyday decision. It involves the judgment, and it involves. Let me tell you, it involves the uh, low level of certainty but complexity. So let me tell you, when we actually discuss about the routine and non-routine decision, it is very, very important to understand the problem and the level of certainty of the outcome. So when you take a decision, you will definitely look for the outcome, right? Decision, we have picked up the alternative to arrive at a conclusion. So definitely we are looking for an outcome. So decision which will have definitely consequences in the outcome, and it will be affected by all. So when we have a decision we need to see whether decision, how long the decision will impact the future. This is very, very important. So decision which will last for a month, for 3 months, for year, for even year, for infinite time. So kind of decision, the impact of a decision uh, for future, that is important when you take a decision. Then the impact of the decision on the administrative unit is very, very important. How decision will influence different administrative unit, as I have already told you, and different individuals. So how different individuals, different, suppose one decision an editor will take will also impact the reporter, will impact the correspondence. At the same time, even the circulation department, if you look into departmentalization in one media organization, so we have that, what kind of department, what type of department. You have the circulation department, and program management department is also there. You have programming department, maintenance department is there, finance department, administrative departments are there, right? That outsourcing department is also there the same time. So you have different types of department, no? So your action will also be affecting the reporter, will be content develop affecting the content developer. Hmm. About your decision will be impacting the that finance actions, the cost factor and everything. So you see this, when you take the decision is very important about the um, that cycle of decisions and the cost of decision and how much it will pay off. This is very, very important. And then what is important is the following of code conduct and the principle. Whether when you take a decision, you are following the code of conduct, you're following a principle, you're following ethics or not. So this is not cultural amplification in a group. We have discussed about cultural amplification, which is a disadvantage in any kind of group decision, but it is different from the cultural amplification because when you talk about, um, we see that when you talk about ethics, we are talking about ethics, no following of ethics. So it is more about ethical decision making, and and many a time you see that it will. be applicable to all kinds of decision, be it group, be it individual, routine, non-routine, program. You have to be ethical in taking decisions. Then we discuss about the outcome as a level of certainty. So first you diagnose the problem. Any kind of rational decision will involve uh, the understanding of the problem situation. How will you understand the problem? Hmm. So what is the problem? You diagnose the problem, then you prioritize the problem. What is the higher problem? Like which should be addressed first? Like more important problem, which should be addressed first. Then you prioritize the problem. Then you come up with some of the solutions. Okay, solutions you are bringing out. Huh. Then you pick up the best solution out of that. According to you, this is the best solution, and then you will implement it, and next you follow up. That's how we usually take a rational decision. And along with this, one thing is more important, that is uh, the complexity of the problem, or simple problem, or a complexity of the problem, and level of certainty and uncertainty. Suppose in certain decision you see that very simple decision, many individual decision are very simple, and there is a high level of certainty of the outcome. You already know the what the outcome will be. Okay, so those decisions will be the routine decisions. So when the problem is very simple, even that is individual nature, and there is a high level of certainty, so everyday decision we are taking in terms of making, like that timetable and all, scheduling programs, even in terms of you see, um, at the same time increasing the output, you also take some decisions. That also might be like, no, that will have low level of uncertainty. That will be the next one. So then non-routine decision. Okay, now you see the problem is complex, and also you have um, lower level of certainty. Suppose you want to increase the output of your organization at the same time. So you have available alternative, like you see what you can do, available alternative, right? You can recruit new staff, right? Or what you can do, you can also authorize overtime. You can also uh, introduce one more shift, right, to the employees at the same times. And you can also install one more physical unit at the same time, or physical capacity. You can buy equipment. So these are the available alternative, right? So it will be non-routine decision. At the same times it will not be a routine decisions, and this will also be, you see, this non-programmed and non-routine decisions, because you are thinking of increasing the output. So you need to need to exercise your judgment at the same time. Hmm. You are making a new investment. There are some decisions at times that you're making a new investment. Every time you okay, um, you think about the profit, you make a new investment. So there is low level of certainty. It might be very simple problem, there may not be any problem. You are making a new investment, you want to introduce another unit, or you want to expand your business to print or to radio stations. So there is no problem at all, but there is a low level of certainty. What will be the outcome? Okay, that also involves your judgment at the same time, but that's a non-routine decision. That's a non-routine decision and non-program decision at the same time, because not a non-program, sorry, non-routine decision, because program decision involves the procedure, non-program doesn't have the procedure. But when you make a new investment, so there is also a procedure to even go for it. And there are also some decision you have to take, like when there is a problem which is very complex, and there is high level of certainty of this outcome, and some of the recurring decision you might have to take. Hmm. That is there, high level of certainty, but problem is very complex. Hmm. So you might also give example of certainty of this outcome in terms of even recruitment. You might also see, and when you actually trade through diverse uh, what employees or candidates. Huh. So you need to make the best decision at the same time. Hmm. And based on the skill and the capabilities. So you also know that that might be profitable at the same time, but the thing is that it might be very difficult at the same time to gain the acceptability, and hence there is a complexity of even recruiting someone. Or many a time it is also said that there might be lower level of certainty because you do not know like how he or she will perform. But definitely when in a bureaucratic, be it in a autocratic, not autocratic, the autocratic organization, when there is a like open kind of structure, most of the newsroom do have, and divisional kind of organization. When we discuss about the structure, matrix organizational structure, we do have, these are all media organizational structure. Then we get to see that any complex decision like that, recruitment, hiring someone, will have a high level of certainty, not a lower level of certainty. And there are some repetitive decision also at times you need to take. Those are not non-routine. Suppose you need to take like decision in terms of subscription, renew the subscription, renew the service from the client. So you are getting some services from the client, you are getting some of the equipment, purchasing some equipment from one client, so renewing the contract at the same time. So those are repetitive decision. At the same time, that might also come under routine. Non-routine is based on judgmental. All of a sudden it involves your decision, so which doesn't have at the same time a select procedure. So non-routine decision, understood? Okay. Then what do you have? Okay, so we discussed about the Herbert A. Simmons three man. One is rational man. He also talked about the rational man. Okay. Okay, he discussed about the rational man at the same time. Okay, what is happening? Rational man, social man, and we talk about the administrative man. Rational man, social man, administrative man. So it is the rational man. Rational man, it is basically rational man is a kind of decision maker who always takes decision in terms of what should be, what ought to be, the kind of value-based decision. He is the one who actually look into all the all pros and cons of the problem. So every side of the problem he will study. He is the one who carry out research thoroughly, comprehensively carry out research about the problem. Then he understand the problem. Then he find out some available solution, and everything will be stored. And then what he will do after he will store everything in his mind, he will recall some like alternative. Then he will execute it. So this is about the prescriptive method of decision making. Means decision should be taken like that, it's said. But what administrative man, okay, we are coming to the administrative man says, is that they always go step by step in a sequential way most of the time. There is also one kind of decision making. This is like a sequential or bear by the tail decision. That is called the sequential, sequential, or you see this bear by the tail. Like when you actually put your car in a very narrow traffic jam, you don't have to take any decision. Your decision will be based upon your movement, your first decision will be your second decision will based upon your first decision, and third decision will be based upon the second decision. So you not necessarily you actually perceive the outcome what it will be, and how much time you will have to wait there, and when you will when you reach the destination you don't know. So it is all about going one by one. That's how you actually see that administrative man is basically discussed and designed. And Harvard Simon has given us four stages of decision making. In the four stages, he discussed about intelligence first. Intelligence is all about environment. Okay, so environment which give us some condition and a context to take the decision. So most of the time, even if we able to understand the problem, diagnose the problem, so our decision, each and every decision is influenced by environment. Okay, environment, not necessarily the social circle, the same time, environment, working environment. Okay, even as I have told you, the ecology of it, hmm, in which the decision is located. Okay, so ecology, when you say it involves everything, the structure, the problem, the ground realities, so everything. Okay, so that will condition the decision, but intelligence. Then you actually design. So design is the second stage where you actually designing state, you invent the solution. You discover the number of solutions, and fourth one is choice. Then you pick up, and the third one is choice, and fourth one is review. So you here while taking the choice, you also review the past experiences. So, so based on that, even the administrative man will take a decision. So he will first try to take one decision. If he fails, he will pick another alternative, like that way. So it's not like he will study all the available solutions. He will carry out a research, not like that, because he doesn't have that much of time. So based on the past experiences, so and also following the intelligence, which is environmental condition, not a social pressure, environmental conditions, he will pick up the best alternative according to him. And if it is not acceptable, and if it hasn't given that outcome the way he expected, then he will move to another alternative. So like that way. So it is different from the rational man at the same time. Social man is one who is always egocentric. So he tries to fulfill his desires at the same time. If his ego or her ego is hurt, and if his ego, I'll say basically, it's man model, it's a man. Man is the one who can take the decision. You see that, so it's not gender neutral at the same time. Simone was not gender neutral. They have actually talked about the rational man, that social man, administrative man. So like that way. So man model. Huh. So you also see at the same time that he's always driven by that social pressure and social influence. So many a time, one administrator has to take very sharp decision and clear decision. He doesn't have to look for acceptability. If it is good for the greater interest, he will have to take. But a social man will be driven by that pressure, that peer pressure. Every time he or she will have to, driven by that pressure, and also ego will definitely come. So that decision will be irrational most, because that emotional element will come. Okay, so that decision is not a right decision, and man always falls trap of that irrationality. It doesn't mean that you don't need to think about your, subordinate or your fellow mate while taking the decisions, or the decisions from other unit. It doesn't say so. It doesn't say so. Okay, but it's all about you see that you are influenced at the same time by um, that pressure. Not even, you are not thinking, you are not using your intelligence. Hmm. You are entirely driven by that irrational state. While buying, while purchasing, you are buying someone to showcase that how rich you are, or you are also opening because not out of your available market share, you are opening a new branch, you are opening a new unit, not out of your available market share and your reputation in this market. That decision is not driven by it, but that decision is driven just because, driven by the ego factor, that you will have to sow that we can also open a new unit, like that way. So that is a kind of irrationality. Social man is very irrational according to Harvard Simon. Okay, so that is one thing. And then what we see that so this is fine. And it is said that administrative man is basically the descriptive man. One is descriptive, another is prescriptive. Why is smiling? So there's no point of smiling. If you are smiling just because I have given you that example, that is an example which is there in a book. Okay, I'm also going to give you the copy of the book. So that's what. So perhaps I really don't know what made him to give that decision, that conclusion. But that is a good example at the same time, no? Using the intuition. And you are also not child; you are a mature person, right? So you can understand it best. So okay, so it is fine. Briefly, we will discuss about the organizational structure. So that is about decision making. So if I forget something else, so that will be covered later. Okay. So you could write uh, about the decision making function of an organization, right? Okay. Now I see that when you talk about the organizational structure, so media organizational structure, it is all about organization is also an institutional arrangement of mobilizing the human resources, physical resources, infrastructural resources. Okay, that is organization, right? And in one organization, you get to see that there are grouping of activities happen, grouping of activities based on the similarities of interest, and at the same time grouping of activities based on the expected outcome, but not on the basis of similarities of interest in the group, but on the basis of you see available manpower, or also based on the heterogeneity of interest at the same time, looking at this outcome which we require, or which we are expecting. Okay, so as it is a grouping of activities, we need to see that how an organization is actually institutionalized. It is an institutional arrangement. No, how it is institutionalized. So we do have different kind of structure in an organization. You have seen the most very basic kind of media organization is basically the mechanistic kind of structure, and that we always discuss. Mechanistic kind of structure is there, where we get to have a like hierarchy, hmm, and we also have one head to follow at the same time. Hmm. And there is a formalized rules regulation is also there in mechanistic kind of structure, and decision is also taken at the same time. It will not delay the decision. Unlike the bureaucratic organization, even if there are existence of program policies, but it's and every time the decision making is not based on the program rules regulations and the procedure, and hence some decisions, most of the decisions are routine decisions in a mechanistic organization. But it is a formal organization at the same time, formal organization which is based on the organizing principle like the hierarchy, division of labor, specialization of labor, and also you see this chain of command. Huh, everything is there. But the difference between the bureaucratic organization and the mechanistic organization is that decisions are taken swiftly. Hmm. And many a time, even decisions are technical decisions. They're very good at taking the technical decisions, skill-based decisions, and they employ even the specialized expert, and at the same time, taken their help in taking the decisions. Okay, so it is actually connected. That's why I'm thinking about discussing about organizational structure with the decision-making principles. And then I'm going very brief because anyhow you are going to have third period. So mechanical organization. So I'll discuss it later again. Then we talk about the you see autocratic. Autocratic is different from autocratic organization. It is called autocratic organization. You know, autocratic organization is very different from autocratic. Here you get to see that there are interaction between the specialist, between even the expert, and that too in very informal way, and which helps them to take a decision very swiftly. So it is very open kind of organization, very open, very flexible kind of structure. Suppose how it is being run, you get to see that this kind of organization, it might be this kind of organization like expert, expert, expert. I'm telling you the structure. So it might be like this also, Odhokritik. Hmm. Um, Again, expert, then subordinate and expert, like that way. And then we also get to see then, okay, then also there. Have you seen this kind of organization? If you look into this structure, mechanical, that is basically mechanical organization is pyramidal, or it might be this very structure, but the communication may be upward there. Hmm. Like that way, mechanical structure, not necessarily, or it might be there in the pyramidal also. The way you get to see the communication pattern of communication. Here you see this autocratic organization, you get to see there are expert, there's open system, there is no bureaucracy like that way. Or you say you see this tall organizations are there. We talk about tall organization hierarchy. Hmm. That is also part of mechanical, maybe a tall organization, there's a hierarchy like that way. You can follow number of head, you are following one head. And tall organization is there, it is based on the continuous growth of one particular organization. Continuous growth will make an organization very tall at the same time. And also there is a long chain of command, like that. There is a like in a head at the top, and who will take the decisions and who will also delegate the authority to the rest. And subordinate will have to follow the organization at the same time. Hmm. So not necessarily that media, when it is a tall organizations, there will be difficult in taking decisions or non-routine decisions, or you also see there will be delay in taking decisions, because it is actually, it is an organizations which is not that diversified, but it is existed for long, tall organization. And this kind of organization is there now. Recent, all the startup entrepreneurial organizations are basically, you see this autocratic structure, open, flexible structures. The communication is also very circular, like that way. You see the way they communicate with the subordinate, the communication between the even leader and like editor and copy editor, editor to design, editor to even, you see that reporter, editor to anchor, editor to programmer, programmer to production, like that. So I simply put subordinate expert like that way. So you actually see the editor to programmer, programmer to production, uh, production to engineering even at the same time. So technical to engineering, engineering to finance even, like, or editor to finance, finance to like owner, like that way. So it's a circular kind of communication that happens in autocratic uh, that structure. You getting? Hmm. We also have a matrix structure. So I'm leaving it today, okay? So because we, and we'll be discussing about organizing structure more in the next class. So, and you remind me that ma'am, you have forgotten to say about. Otherwise, I'll introduce a new topic again. Okay, and we are also supposed to discuss about this product-consumer relationship. That is important. So now we have varieties of organization. Briefly, I'm telling you, we have matrix organization, that is different from even flat organization. Okay, flat organization is there. We prefer much more in media houses. We also have divisional organization, which are those result of convergence. We have divisional kind of organizations. And also in a matrix organization, you get to see there is a manager, managing directors, and tasks are divided among the administrative unit, the divisional unit, and there is one unit that is called that is planning unit. Basically task are divided. Now that's programming unit. Suppose an administrative unit basically deal with the that finance and all, divisional unit research, engineering and technical. Then the programming unit actually look after the the all planning, even that planning, programming, production, so everything. So that matrix kind of structure is also there in media house. Huh. So we get to see that, and also there is one structure we get to see where we have that divisional, as I have told you, divisional structure that parallelly to media organization runs. No, so there is one managing director, then you get to see one managing director, and then tasks are divided like uh, this is one unit, that media unit, again that is tasks are divided, see, equally divided the task. So a diagram will help you to understand more about the structure of the organization. So it is there in divisional organization when there is scope for convergence. One media house run a newspaper and a television station and a radio station simultaneously. So that way. So, so we'll discuss about it in the next class.